Hello, we're live. Yes. Hey, welcome to Feelings with the Geekiary. I'm Erin. I'm here along with Jamie and Tara. Oh my gosh, we're fans. We have feelings. This is where we webcast about them, and it's finally 2021.
Yes.
Is that good? I don't know yet.
I don't know yet either.
It's still the same. It's the same as 2020 so far. But
Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this so that I'm sitting actually in this narrow little window. So yeah, you can join the conversation with the hashtag Geekiary Feelings. Come on, how will we know you're wrong if you don't tell us?
How do you know we're wrong if you don't tell us?
Did I say something else?
You said you're wrong.
I think I said we're, but I also may have mumbled. I'm very tired. I'm still not used to being on West Coast time.
Oh well, yeah. It's fine. We're wrong. You're wrong. We're all wrong.
Everybody's wrong this year.
Yeah.
Last year,
We would like to remind all of you that the views expressed on this webcast are those of the hosts as individuals and do not necessarily represent the Geekiary or the webcast itself as a whole.
Thank you. All right. Well, before we dive into discussion, don't forget about our Patreon. We have a ton of new perks and everything out there. So please become a patron, give us money, and we'll give you stuff back. That's patreon.com/thegeekiary is where you can find us. Also, be sure to check out the rest of our YouTube channel. Always good things out there, especially those reaction videos from Fareed. They're pretty comedy gold most of the time. So, like all the time, I should say. And also, of course, be sure to check out the Geekyary's news section. Maybe we should talk about some news that happened in the past week. But before we do that, both Tara and I moved long distances this past week and the week before. So Jamie, you're gonna have to probably be in charge of the news because I have no idea what's going on.
Well, to be fair, I did actually move at the very beginning of the month, so I have been I moved from East Coast to West Coast. But so I have been here for almost 3 weeks now, or actually, no, I think right at 3 weeks. So I know stuff from the past week kind of, but there was that week of travel, because again, across the entire country pretty much. And then that week of settling where I paid attention to nothing. But this week, it's I know about some things. I know about, well, really because of my other webcast, I know about the Shadow and Bone stuff from Netflix, and I know about Redditors taking over Wall Street. So yeah, I feel I'm up on the important things right now.
That's
okay.
Well, take it away.
The first one I had was the Shadow and Bone Netflix stuff. Tara and I are both big fans of the Grishaverse books. Tara's reviewed the more recent ones for us, but being a Netflix adaptation, and I'm pretty sure on our last webcast in December, I talked about how the teaser trailer had just been released. And what dropped this week is promotional stills and character posters for the adaptation. So it's your first real look at the characters and what they look like and everything like that. So that's very exciting. And also we got an actual premiere date, because before it was just April, and now we actually know that it's April 23rd is when it hits Netflix, which is very exciting. And the other this one is technically from last week, but since we haven't done a webcast in a while, Modal Zushi, which is the one of the Chinese stories that Angel are big fans of. Season 3 is officially confirmed. They released a trailer for it. We don't have a date yet, but it's supposed to come out sometime this year. And that'll be last season. It's going to finish up the story. So that's exciting. And then the other one I had here was the big news that they're shopping around a possible Harry Potter television series for HBO Max, which I mean, aside from the fact that J.K. Rowling is officially canceled, pretty much any new information that's been added to the canon has sucked. So like I worry about what a series would do, because like I know that Fantastic Beasts has like introduced stuff that's like contradicted stuff in the books, and it's like so yeah. So I'm not.
I haven't loved the new stuff either, and also I don't want J.K. Rowling having any more of my money, and also like after the just absolute, I mean really like the absolute disaster that was sorry. Person leaving. The absolute disaster that was that had been the Fantastic Beast movies, especially the second one. I'm just like, I know that it would be different people and running it, and possibly, hopefully, even different people, not JK writing it. But I just like knowing that she's getting money from it just puts like a bad taste in my mouth. Like, are the mainstream like networks like HBO and stuff, or I mean it's not a network per se I guess, but are they not paying attention to the fact that like most of JK's fandom has kind of
I mean I think they're paying attention to the fact that Harry Potter has made them like $7 billion, and and HBO Max as a streaming service really doesn't have a lot of content, and so I really think they're trying to fill that out. And they don't even have the Harry Potter movies anymore, which was a big selling point when it launched. They're like, oh, we're going to have all 8 Harry Potter movies. And they were there for like 3 months. And then they dropped them. And now they're on Peacock, which is just whatever. Like, I don't know if Peacock is its own. Like, why can't NBC just have one? NBC Universal just have one streaming service.
It's dumb. It's dumb. There's too many streaming services and I'm not paying for any more.
Yeah, I only have HBO Max because I have HBO. Like, I'm still one of the dinosaurs with cable. So.
Oh my gosh. I honestly didn't think I knew anybody. Like, even my parents don't have cable anymore.
I just moved into my new place and I have to have cable and internet. It's included.
Yeah.
But you have to pay for it, but you can't opt out of it. So like, I'm like, okay. Having cable again for me is very dangerous because I watch a lot of TV.
So do I. All day today they had The Office on Comedy Central, so that's what I was watching.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was wondering what would happen. I figured that The Office was just going to Peacock or whatever, and that was why it was like why they were taking it off Netflix. But
yeah, I mean that is why they did that. But Comedy Central is owned by well, no, that's Viacom. So I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows
who owns anything anymore?
Yeah.
Like
there's like a few, like a handful of big companies, and it's all just a trickle down from there. But I don't know who's who
like
anymore.
I don't remember. Like Viacom used to be owned by CBS, but I don't know if they still are. I don't know.
I don't know anything anymore. All I know is K-dramas, which we'll talk about later. Yeah, but going back to the Harry Potter TV series, like I know that all 3 of us are, or at least were. I mean, I still am a big Harry Potter fan. I just don't like J.K. Rowling. She's terrible. I can't handle it. Like I have Deathly Hallows on my tattoo on my arm, and I'm like, ugh. Sometimes I'm like, oh. So
well, at least you know that JK never saw any money from your Deathly Hallows tattoo. Like I have all of this Hufflepuff gear and I'm just like, listen, I'm gonna still wear it because I paid for it. Like I haven't bought anything new in years, but like I don't know if I really want to be wearing it like on a webcast or like out more than like to run to a grocery store. Like I don't know. Like this used to be stuff I was like proud and happy to wear, and now I'm like,
yeah.
I'm never getting rid of my Ron Weasley Funko Pops though, because Ron Weasley is the best.
Well, I have Hermione, and then I have Luna with the lion hat on, and I mean that's just too cool to get rid of. So, but yeah, I mean I have a lot of Harry Potter stuff too, and it's like, I mean it's one of those, and I discussed this in my article. It's one of those, it's like we're separating the art from the artist, and normally I don't have any problem. Like I am totally like, nope, whatever. Like, never seen a Woody Allen movie. I don't really care. But Harry Potter was such a big part of my life, and it's like it's really hard to give that up. And so I think like the one like concession I make is like, well, I just won't buy anything new. Like, so
yeah, that's how I feel about it. And like honestly, I'm also not going to judge anybody else necessarily for still wanting the merch or whatever. Like, I mean, I've had people say they're not even ever going to read the books again. It's like, if you already own the books or like already own the movies or they're on, like, you're not giving her any money by watching or wearing or reading something you already own, so I don't think anybody should feel bad about that. I think it's all like everybody is different in terms of how they are willing to support or not support, Harry Potter because of her. But I mean, like a new TV show, that like I know she's going to be getting probably a crap ton of royalties for it. No thanks, not me.
And
anyway.
yeah, and judging by how, I mean, she took over Fantastic Beasts. Like she wrote the scripts, and it's just like no, like if she wasn't going to be involved, it would sort of be one thing. Like she'd still be getting money, but she wasn't going to be involved. But she's gonna be involved because she can't not be involved. Like that's the kind of person she is.
And like, honestly, to an extent, like with some artists, like God, I would have loved for George R.R. Martin to have been more involved with Game of Thrones. But, and I know that at least I know that Lee Bardugo, because we were talking about Shadow and Bone earlier, it has been pretty involved with Shadow and Bone. But like,
like you ordinarily want the creator to be more involved because you have something where it's like absolutely nothing like it. It's like, I mean, and I can use the example like because Disney Plus is coming out with their Percy Jackson series. And the Percy Jackson movies, if you're a fan of the books, are crap. They're awful. Like they don't even work as movies because they've ruined the bare bones of the plot. And Rick Riordan was like very vocal about the fact that he hated movies. Like, I'm not sure how recently it was, but he released his emails back and forth with 20th Century Fox about how like everybody's gonna hate this, nobody's gonna like this. Like, please let me change something. And they ignored him, and they were awful. Like they're terrible. Like they made a reasonable amount of money, but not, I think, for the budget that they had. But he's very involved in the Disney Plus series, and that excites fans because, like, if you don't want him to like take over and like because just like authors don't necessarily make good showrunners, so you don't want them to be like in charge of everything, but you want them to have input. Be like, no, that person is supposed to be like black or whatever. Like you don't want to have some kind of that. And I'm excited because he shared, I think like earlier this week or something, that like everybody that's read the scripts for the first like few episodes of the new series has loved it. And I'm like, yay, because the movie was terrible.
I never read the books, to be fair, but I only saw the first movie and I was like,
Yeah, I could definitely like go on rants about that movie because I love the books, and the movie just like saps everything out of what made the books like different. Because a big problem, like not to really get into it, but like a big problem with Hollywood movies about Greek mythology is that they don't actually look at it through Greek mythology. It's come at through like a Christian lens. So like Hades is bad because he rules hell, but he doesn't rule hell. It's the underworld. In Greek mythology, there is a hell, but like everybody goes to the underworld when they die, not just the bad people. So he's just like in charge of that. And actually in Greek mythology, Hades is like a big dork. Like, and so the fact that he's always portrayed as the bad guy just like is weird. And Zeus is always like God, and Zeus was a terrible, terrible person. So like
that's why the only good thing about Disney's Hercules was the soundtrack. The storyline was shit. So yes,
Hercules is actually not a good person either. So like,
but the songs were very good. It's my favorite soundtrack.
Oh my god, that's an amazing soundtrack too.
Yeah. We should probably move on because when I brought it back up again, like I was looking at our screen and all three of us literally had the same expression on our faces, which was
What was this?
Oh,
Sorry, I missed
talking
it.
about Harry Potter, their TV
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
We all had the same expression at the same time.
Sorry, I just stepped away for half a second. I thought I had to let the dogs in.
All good. Okay, so let's move on from news because I don't want to talk about Harry Potter anymore. This, because this is the first webcast of 2021, we're just going to do kind of a catch up, I think. Again, just we've got some other kind of special topic webcasts coming up. So let's just talk about us, hey, and what we're doing, because it's fun. And it's really more for us. So, sorry. So let's catch up. What have we been up to besides moving a lot? Or we can talk about moving a lot too.
Like I had to work. This was a very funny. So I think I mentioned this on the last webcast. I don't like to talk about my job too much because I work at a very big company, and I don't like want to get in trouble for anything that I might say. But I work in news and the archives specifically. So when like celebrities die, we get very busy, and this was a very busy week for celebrities dying. It's very sad. And I just think it's funny because everybody that knows me in real life knows how busy we get around that time. And so now basically whenever celebrities die, I get like texts and like messages, and people are like, how you doing? Like, are you at work right now? And I'm like, I am not at work right now. Thank you. And it's funny.
you are, unfortunately, and you're just like, I mean, I don't know. At that point, you're like, see you in like 3 days.
Yeah. Because nothing has been as bad as when Robin Williams died. Like that was the worst.
Oh my gosh.
But of this week, because Hank Aaron died on Friday, and then Larry King died on Saturday, and then Cloris Leachman died like Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Cicely Tyson died like the next day. And I was only working for when Hank Aaron died. Like that news broke like Friday morning, so I was at work. And I mean, for most, if you don't know a whole lot about news, like we're generally prepared for this kind of stuff, especially for like older celebrities. Like they generally have an obituary package already made, and it's usually just like updating footage or like the voiceover or something like that. But apparently we were not prepared for Hank Aaron because like I had to deal with so many people requesting the same interview tape. Like apparently we only have one interview with Hank Aaron, and we didn't already have it like digital. So like we had to pull it from storage, and it was like a big deal. And my boss was just like, what can we do to get this here faster? And I'm like, there is literally no way it could possibly get here any faster than it's already getting here, unless you like have a drone, which we do not have. So like, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm happy that you weren't working all those other days.
That's true.
Yes, very sad. Like obviously, like they're big losses, especially like Cloris Leachman and Cicely Tyson. But
I was gonna say, Cloris Leachman was born and grew up in Des Moines. She actually went to high school with my grandfather. So a little piece of trivia there.
I feel like we've come full circle because like I just remember back in the day how many celebrities we used to talk about. Because one of them was Jason Momoa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrities are from Des Moines, probably more than you think. So like that's my little piece of trivia, but I know that my whole family was kind of like, because of that, I think it kind of hit a little harder for my family. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I mean I'm still, I mean, New York is in like a weird kind of half quarantine kind of thing. It's weird, like, but they've just decided they're gonna open up for indoor dining, and it's just like, but it's only 25% capacity, I think, because we shut down indoor dining, I want to say in like December, because we had a surge after Thanksgiving, shocking, of COVID numbers. But they're going to open it back up again, and it's like, it's just weird. But my work is still like pretty much everybody is remote. We're still doing the one person goes in for a few days a week. We didn't have anybody in at all last week. Well, not last week. Well, yes, the week of the inauguration. Nobody from my department went in for security purposes because we work at a well-known media company that probably would have been point of, I can't think of the phrase.
Like potentially targeted, yeah.
Like a potential target, yes. And also, I mean, I think I mentioned this on a previous webcast. We actually had somebody in September come and just and like because all they had a baseball bat and they just smashed the windows, and if they wanted to do something they could have, because like our one security guard isn't going to do a whole lot, and like it's turnstiles that you could easily jump over, like, so it's not like, probably shouldn't be announcing that, but like not a very secure building. And so they were worried about staff not only like being in the building but also like going to and coming from work, because we have to walk past, well, depending on where you get off the subway, we work near a Trump building. And they definitely, like, I remember for the election, they had that the building was barricaded off for like a block in each direction, which is very annoying because that's how I get to work. So I had to like go out of my way to get to work to avoid the building that nobody ended up ever doing anything at. Like, there's been a couple of protests at it, but it's not like it's not like Trump Tower. So I don't, like, most people focus their ire at Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue.
Well, I'm glad that there was no like major activity. That was good. I do have to say, Tara, you obviously are in a new place, and so you have a new like background of things, and it's a lot of Baby Yodas.
I did not even like, honestly, like yeah, this is not on purpose. I forgot, like, so I had the little, this is the little one that moves. I don't know if he'll
my
god. So, but the pillow was like a gift for Christmas, and I like brought it out here with me, but my dog kept trying to chew it. So I just like put it up in here, and then I dressed today and I put on this shirt that I also got for Christmas. My family knows what I like, and then I realized the only like drink cup I have here is this one because I didn't move my whole house.
The tumbler did it for me. I was like, okay.
I'm like Yoda. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. This was not on purpose at all. Like, and the thing is, like, so normally when we do these, if there's more than 3 people, or like, honestly, I always do it where we're like stacked in like rectangular boxes. So like, you can see more of what's behind me. So I promise you, there is not just Baby Yoda behind me. It's like, you can see there's a picture of my dogs. There's a Jurassic Park thing. There's a Hamilton book. There's a bunch of Pokemon up there. Like over here, there's like a anime stuff and whatever. So there's more stuff than Baby Yoda behind me. It's just right now, it's this tiny little, I'm bookended in here. So I do love Mandalorian and I love Baby Yoda, but like, yeah, this is a bit much, honestly. And I'm sitting here wondering, like, should I say something or is somebody else gonna mention?
No, I mean, it was cute, and then the tumbler happened, and I was like, that's a lot.
Because this is the only big tumbler I have here.
Funny, it's funny.
Here, wait, oh no, God, yeah, I was like, I have a water bottle here. It's also Star Wars, but it's it's a 5K. It's a Star Wars marathon weekend thing, and then I don't know. This glass is from what is it from? Oh, sci-fi-hero.net website. Like, so I do have other things here, I promise. I was actually really proud of this map that I got, that it's like you can scratch off the states you've been to, and it's a really nice big one, because the one I had at my old house, my house in Greenville, is very small. So I hung it up behind me, and I hung it up just like slightly too high though. So like, even when you can see all of my background, you only see like the bottom part of the country, but that's fine because basically the whole center of the country is the part I haven't been to. Like if you look at a map of the United States, my visited states is like a big U without Kansas, Nebraska, the Dakotas, Iowa. Missouri is in there. Yeah.
Don't go to Missouri.
I do want to go to St. Louis at some point, but
I've driven through St. Louis.
Yeah,
or not even through. I've driven past because I saw the arch, and like we couldn't stop though. We were on our way to a football game, and we had limited time to get there. So,
well, I just moved from Iowa to Florida, and Missouri by far, no contest was the worst with not wearing masks. Like literally no one was wearing masks. Like literally no one.
Oh gosh. Mine was Mississippi. But worse for wearing masks, but worse for just driving through in general was Arkansas. It was bad.
Well, yeah.
Like it was just traffic. Like there was one point where we got stuck in traffic, like practically stopped traffic for 30 minutes. And we were trying to figure out like how we could, cause we looked at like, we're looking at 3 different types of like, you know, like I actually have like a Garmin that I usually don't use, but like I was using it for the long drive. So I didn't have my phone on data all the time. And like, we got Google Maps and iPhone Maps. And like, we eventually were able to like skirt off the highway but like we had been sitting there for, it was over 30 minutes. I think it was close to 40 before we finally got off the highway. If we had stayed on the highway and not taken like surface roads for about 7 or 8 miles, we would have been stuck on like a 3-mile stretch of highway for 2.5 hours. So well, Arkansas can suck it.
Arkansas is weird. Like my dad grew up there, so I've spent a lot of time there. And whereas, and there are a lot of hills and mountains in Arkansas, like the rest of the Southeast, but like, unlike other states that you sometimes have roads like through the hills, Arkansas doesn't do that. They like go around everything. So it takes longer to get anywhere, first of all. And then there are like fewer options of roads. So like you were saying, there's more traffic because there are fewer like there's fewer routes.
I was hoping we would see some pretty stuff. Because like I know the Ozarks are beautiful. You know, I've heard that there are parts of Arkansas that are beautiful, but we must have skirted like just south of that. So I was like, Arkansas was just boring. I mean, now I'll be fair to Arkansas. It was not as boring as Oklahoma, which is basically entirely made up of windmills, cattle, and what was the third thing I said?
Like wheat? Because that's Kansas.
It was windmills, cattle, and something else. I posted on Facebook or Twitter about it, and I was like, is this all Oklahoma is? Is like windmills and cattle. Oh, and farm equipment on the side of the road, like everywhere. Farm equipment, windmills, and cattle. But like, Oklahoma was easy though, because like the speed limit was 70. There's again no traffic. So yeah. Although everything was closed, like it was a Monday, and apparently everything's closed on Mondays there.
Worst state I've driven across is Texas. Because Texas is we took the I-10, which goes apart the fat part of Texas, which is approximately 900 miles.
Fat part of Texas.
Because it was like it goes
not the panhandle.
The panhandle.
Yeah, that's what I drove. I drove across the panhandle. That was nothing.
Yeah. When I moved from Arizona, my mom and I drove across the panhandle. But when I was in college, we drove out for a football game, and when we drove back to Ohio, we had to go across the 10 because one of the people with us lived in Baton Rouge, and so we had to drop him off in Baton Rouge before we went back to Ohio. So we drove across that. It is the worst. If you're ever going to do that drive, don't. But if you have to, you have to stop for gas whenever you find some place to stop, because you don't know when there's going to be a place to stop. And it was basically like, coming from Arizona, it was like, oh, here's El Paso, like right here on the border, and then there's like 600 miles of like sand and cacti, and then you get to San Antonio, and then there's like 300 miles of like, nothing, and then you get to Houston, and then you're in Louisiana. So it's like that was what it was. We were driving, and it was like night, and we had the radio on Seek, and it just kept going because there's nothing, no radio stations to pick up. And I was tasked with, I was shotgun, so it was my job to keep the driver awake. And he's just like, please, just like saying something or something. Like,
well, okay, so since we're talking about driving cross country, what particularly, I guess, more so for the two of us, but Jamie, even though it's not COVID related, you can talk about easiest or best. Aaron, what was the best in terms of like COVID restrictions that you drove through for all those states, like in terms of like you felt safe and people were wearing masks? And
okay, well, probably Florida, frankly. You know,
wow, okay,
I know. Just because, like, okay, so I drove through, you know, a lot of southern states.
Yeah.
As a northerner, Midwesterner here, like, I think the Southeast gets a bad rap a lot on things. But Iowa is also terrible with COVID. And frankly, Florida is better than Iowa. So,
yeah, my parents live in near Fort Myers, and like I mean, my aunt apparently, like, my aunt and my dad don't really get along politically, but they're always just like, they wear masks when they go out, and my mom says they rarely see people that don't. But then one of my cousins is my dad's cousin is an anti-masker, so like obviously some people in Florida that are like that. Like, she wears the mask because she has to, but she wears it improperly, and she talks all the time about how masks are. So like,
well, it's weird here. So I'm in Orlando. So I mean, obviously there are a lot of tourists here too. Even though it is COVID, there's still a lot of tourists. But the thing that really impressed me, I think, about the mask wearing in Florida is that everybody does it when they're just outside. Like if they're walking their dog or riding bikes or just walking, like everybody is wearing masks, even if they're not around anyone, which when I was in Iowa, like nobody did that. Like if you were just out walking your dog and you knew you weren't going to be around anyone, you didn't wear a mask. Everyone does that here. And that was very surprising to me. Like obviously positively surprising. But yeah, weird and different.
Yeah, New Mexico was the surprising, like they were, I mean, shut down like completely. Like we spent the night in Santa Rosa, and we had been hoping, like we're figuring like masks on, whatever. The morning we were leaving, we would go to the Blue Hole, which is this like grotto, like part of a lake. It's like right in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, and Santa Rosa is teeny tiny. But like it was just a good like partway stopping point in our drive, and we were like, oh, we want to see this. But I mean, all the public parks completely closed down. Like you could not even go in them. None of the restaurants, you could not even walk in to get to pick up takeout. You had to, everything was curbside where they brought it to your car. Everybody was wearing masks everywhere. Like, so yeah, I was surprised, but, and the signs on the road were like all about like, you know, keeping New Mexico healthy and like wearing it like everywhere. Like, I mean, I'm talking every couple miles on the highway, there was a giant like lit up sign about it. Like, you know, in South Carolina, it's like you might see one in like a 30-mile stretch of highway that's like stay home. Well, they used to say stay home, but like now they just say like wear a mask. And it's like, yeah, okay, South Carolina, I see why you are what you are right now in terms of COVID cases.
Yeah, it's hard in New York. We don't have signs or anything like that, but like the public transit is like littered with like, you know, wear a mask. And it's like, here's how to properly wear a mask. And of course it's New York, so they're in like 10 different languages too. So like, if you want to learn how to say wear a mask in other languages, I can take a picture of one of the signs.
And then there's like Arizona, which was like, we stayed overnight in Flagstaff, which Flagstaff is like a bougie, you know, it's a bougie area. And they like not, I mean, of course everybody's wearing masks there versus like when we're stopping, you know, at gas stations in Arizona and stuff in the middle of nowhere, people have, if they're wearing them, they have them under their nose and stuff like that. But like in Flagstaff, it was amazing. Like, first of all, I wish all restaurants would do this forever and ever. We went and sat at a restaurant. And of course they're at, I don't even know, I guess they're 50% capacity, but they had like, so the tables are super, super spread apart. I mean, you are not even within 8 feet of another table. And with the booths they have, even though they're the restaurant we ate at was a brewery, the booths themselves were higher than my head. And I'm tall, I'm 5'8", but on top of that, they had an additional wall that they had erected. So it was like almost all the way to the ceiling. And there was a sticker on the table with a QR code on it that you scanned, and it brings you to a website. I don't know, whoever created this website must be rich right now, because it brings you to a website. It's got the restaurant's whole menu on it. Your table is like, so it's got your table. Each table has a different QR code. So the waiters, like the serving staff, they know your table number. You order everything and pay for it in the app, and all they do is bring your food to the table. And we had like a can. I mean, they called it a can, but it was like this weighted thing that was sort of like a tall boy, and it was half red and half green. So you put that at the edge of your table and you turn it green, like if you need more water or something.
No.
But it was like, so you could order. I think the biggest meh part of that is like, if you decide you want more drinks or something, you've got to place an entirely new order. But generally, like, I don't sit at restaurants and like drink for hours. So like, just like, it was just so, and also I don't like being bothered by servers while I'm eating. Like, don't come ask me how I'm doing while I'm eating. Okay. Like, I'm not gonna be mad at you because I know it's part of your job, but also I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
So like, it was just, I wish everybody would do this. Like, I wish they would do this. It was so convenient, because also you don't have to wait for a check. You don't have to wait for a check. And like, they still, you know, put the suggestion on there. Like they have the tip, and it's like, I to be honest, I'm not the one that paid for it. Dean did. So like, I don't know how it did the tip portion, if it was like automatically included at least 15%. I would hope and guess that it would be, but like, you know, they definitely like, you know, had like this, he said they had the suggestion there of like, you know, tipping up to 20, you know, 20+%, you know, during COVID times or something like that. But like, yeah, it was just really like, that was really great. But of course, then the next day we stopped in Oatman, Arizona, which is this little border town, like kind of up near the corner of Arizona, California, and Nevada. And I mean, when I'm telling you, it is in the middle of nowhere. Like, we got off I-40, which is like like kind of a long Route 66 for most of the country. Yeah. So we got off I-40 and we drove like 35-40 minutes through. I wasn't driving, Dean was, thank God, because the roads we were driving on were like these mountain, like up, down, and like squiggly, and like cliffs, like 3,000 feet. It seemed like, it probably wasn't that tall, but it seemed like right straight down on the other side of us and everything. And we get to this little town, and it's this Western, like Old West town that they used to film movies in. And there's like wild burros just wandering. I mean, they're wild, you know, like I think they have a place where they can stay at the end of the night, and they sell feed for them and stuff. But this place is like great. Like, you'd only go to it if you're like really, you know, if you're in maybe Flagstaff and you really want a side trip, or like in Las Vegas. I think it's only a couple hours from Las Vegas, but like, it's a cool place to go to for like a day. But oh my God, like, there's one restaurant in town, and like no social distancing, no barriers between tables or booths, not a single person, like staff member, was wearing a mask. And I'm like, I know that Arizona has a mask mandate. Like, how are not one of you wearing a mask?
That's how Missouri was, the whole state. Like, I went to gas stations. We went to like, my brother really likes to eat like 17 meals a day. So we like went to Long John Silver's, and nobody there was wearing masks. And I felt very uncomfortable in the whole state of Missouri. You know, we did go out to dinner one night at like a locally owned brew pub also, and they did pretty good. But no.
Yeah.
The rest,
I mean, and I guess the thing is, like, I know in Arizona there is a mask mandate, and I know it is not. I was like 99% sure, I still am, that it wasn't like a city by city or county by county thing. I'm pretty sure it's the whole state. I just think they're like, we're out in Oatman. What are they going to do? Are they going to drive like down these crazy, like they're going to drive through these crazy like mountain canyon roads to like come out here and like see if we're wearing masks and fine us? Like, and also how could they possibly pay for it, to be honest? Like this town is literally one street. You can walk from one end of it to the other in like 3 minutes. Like, I don't know where the people who work there live. I'm guessing they live in like Needles, which is like an hour away.
Oh my God.
But yes, there is a town called Needles. I think it's technically in California. It's right on the border though. But yeah, so yeah, it was an experience. And like, of course, like you guys knowing me, but anybody who's like watching or listening to this now or later, we like I'm big into Red Dead Redemption. So we literally only went to this town because we were looking for places we could visit that were like Old West ish or like look like they'd be from Red Dead. And yes, we put on our Red Dead costumes and like walked around because, you know, this when else are we going to be going to these places? But
that's good. That's fun.
But yeah, I mean the mask thing, I was like, how did we like in the same day we went from Flagstaff where it's like I felt so safe and everybody's wearing masks and everybody's social distancing and people like you said, people wearing masks outside, even granted it's cold. So I feel like if it was like summer and 100 degrees, that I don't know if it was the same back then, but in the winter, it's like, this is great having this mask over my face. You know?
Yes, because I was like, when I go to work, I normally wear my scarf around my face anyway, because it's very cold and windy in New York. And so I like having the mask because I don't have to have the scarf around my face.
But yeah, so yeah, that's my driving across country. Like surprisingly, New Mexico was, you know, I felt like the safest and best place we went to. I mean, again, not surprisingly, Mississippi being the worst, but
I feel that way about Missouri. Sorry, Missouri. Like Kansas City's great, St. Louis is great. Everything else is kind of. And what else was I gonna say? I don't even remember. I've taken that drive many times, not from like South Carolina, but from like Des Moines. We would go down like straight and then across. And New Mexico is great.
Yeah.
One of my
I imagine like when you can actually do things there, it's really, really, I mean, it was very pretty to drive across. There were lots of cool sites, you know, along the highway and everything. Yeah, I wish I could have, I mean, honestly, I probably could have stretched that trip out 2 or 3 more days if I'd had the time, you know, most of the time to do it. Cause to be honest, like money wise, well, and again, also with COVID, like I still like, if there hadn't been COVID and I'd had extra vacation days, like it would have been amazing to stretch it out a little bit more. You know, but yeah, it was still, it's something everybody should do in their lifetime, if only to see. It's still like, I don't know why this surprises me, you know, because I've been to some out in the middle of nowhere places, but like it's still like surprising. It's like we're so ingrained in like this whole, there's a city and then there's the suburbs, right? And you forget, especially in the states, the Western states, that there's just these, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of miles where there's nothing. Like if there's a town, it's like not even incorporated and it's like they have a gas station and like if you're lucky, like some sort of fast food place and that's it. Like it's just,
and that's like most of Southern California, like east of the coast, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, the United States is so big.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that aren't from here, or maybe even people that are from here, don't understand like how big it is and how remote some of these places are, especially in the West, like you said, like Wyoming, Montana, like you can go, you drive hundreds and hundreds of miles without.
I mean, I've done the drive from here, which I'm let's say LA area-ish right now. Not the dangerous, like COVID, not the COVID dangerous part, but I'm close to LA right now. So I've done this area to Vegas on, I think it's I-15 is the highway. And yeah, it's like you said, it's about a 3.5 hour drive, give or take. Usually it's closer to 3 than 3.5, I think. But I mean, you'll drive for an hour and a half and there's nothing. I think it's here. and I can't, Bakersfield, I think is one of them. And there's like one other little town. And then at the Vegas border, you start getting more stuff. But like in between each of them, just absolutely nothing. And not just on that highway, but forever in either direction. I mean, we hit California after we left Oatman, and we drove for like 3 hours before we hit a city. Like it's just, but I mean, yeah, you talk about those like wide open spaces, and I know we have some in South Carolina too. Maybe it's different because they're like wooded or something.
Oh yeah.
But even then, it's still, you know, you can drive from the one tip of South Carolina to the other tip. And I would say if there was there's not a highway straight across there, but like if you were to go from like a little bit northwest of Greenville all the way to like the southern easternmost tip of Charleston, it would probably take you about 4.5 hours at most, probably maybe closer to 4. But like you can literally drive 6 hours across some of these states, like you were saying Texas earlier, and there's nothing. Like it's just, I don't know.
It's a weird place, the United States.
I had people tell me that about Pennsylvania, which I was just like, well, at least we have towns. Because I'm from Pennsylvania and I went to school in Ohio. And when I was in college, we moved from like more of this, like more central of the state to like northwest, which is less populated. And so it's like I went to school in Ohio State, which is in Columbus. And so like I would take 71 up to 76, and then 76 turns into I-80, which goes the whole way across Pennsylvania to New York City. And when you're getting on 80 in Ohio, it says like New York City via Pennsylvania. And it doesn't tell you any of the towns that are actually in Pennsylvania on I-80 until you get to the Pennsylvania border, because there is nothing worth stopping at on I-80 in Pennsylvania. Well, I'm sorry. If Penn State is there, but like Penn State is like the population of State College, which is where Penn State is like maybe 8,000 people, and then like Penn State has like 100,000 students. So like that's, oh my god, yeah. It's not a very big town. Like, but yeah, so it's like if you're not going to the college, there's like really nothing to see in Pennsylvania. It's at least on 80, like 70, which is in the south, is different because like Harrisburg is there and like Gettysburg and everything, and Pittsburgh, but like no, there's nothing. It's just like woods. I broke down on A80 once, and that was an unpleasant experience.
But you're right, I guess. Like I think like that it's like at least on like in the East we have towns. We do. Like even those long stretches of roads, there are still actual towns. So to know and I know some of it's that it's the desert, and it's and also a lot of it, especially in Arizona, is protected lands and everything.
Reservation, yeah.
Thankfully, we do have some of those left in this country. Not enough, but blah blah blah. But yeah, I like it's just. Yeah, at least we have towns in the East. Like it's really, like you said, like you have to stop at every gas station you come across, like to either go to the bathroom or get gas or both, because there could be 150 miles where there's nothing. Like, I mean, I mean, this is why Route 66 was what it was back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even most of the 80s before they started building I-40, because while most of those like gas stations and stuff are defunct and derelict now, like there were these little gas stations like every 30 miles, because like think about it, like I don't know what the gas mileage was in cars back then, but it certainly wasn't the 38 miles a gallon my Jetta gets on the highway now. This has turned into like the weirdest conversation, but like
we didn't really have anything planned. So
yeah,
no, this is great. Like
across the country.
Like random Geekiary webcast about like just traveling around the United States and seeing weird things in weird places.
I actually like that, because when I moved from Arizona, we took 40 most of the way, and I had never really made, like when I moved out to Arizona, I flew. And so that was like my first real time like driving cross country. And so my mom and I, we were leisurely about it, but we didn't take that long because, my mom still worked at the time. And so it's not like she could take like 3 weeks off to drive me across country. But it was like, we stopped at a lot of the like Route 66, like historic like places, because that I was like, when am I going to get the chance again? And also, it took us, I think, like 2 days to get out of Arizona because we did the Grand Canyon, which I had lived in Arizona for a year and had never gotten to see because my sister,
oh my gosh,
she refused to take me because she'd already been there. And I'm like, and I'd actually been to the Grand Canyon before too, but like, my camera battery was dead, so I didn't have any pictures. And so like my mom took me again, and we did the Painted Desert too.
Painted. Yeah, I went to that, drove through that when I was in high school. And that was one of those things on this trip where it was like I would love to see the Painted Desert. I would love to see the Grand Canyon again. But I mean, first of all, right now I'm not that far from it anymore. So like that's like it's like a long day's drive to get to Arizona. But like, yeah, unfortunately on this trip, it was like just far enough out of the way where it was like, it's already going to take us like only like somewhat leisurely, as in we're not doing more than like 8.5 hours a day in the car. It's already going to take us like 5 days to get from point A to point B. So someday.
Yeah, we did I wish there's more we could have done, but it was like, there was like a Route 66 museum that we went to and stuff like that. And also like personal stuff. So my one of my dad's sisters, so my aunt lives in Nashville. And obviously been to Nashville before because we've been there. But my sorority is headquartered in Nashville. And I had never been to headquarters before. And so like we went to headquarters. I got a tour of headquarters and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool. And it's not anymore. Like my chapter, our old house looked like the headquarters building. And so when I told them what chapter I was from, they're like, "Oh, isn't that the house that looks like headquarters?" And I'm like, "Yes, that is the house that looks like." Yeah, they've since gotten a like fancy new house. But
What sorority are you in, if you don't mind me asking?
Alpha Omicron Pi.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Alpha Sigma Tau. Our headquarters is in Michigan, Ypsilanti, but the school that I went to, there's actually 4 sororities that were founded at it. Oh my God, ASA, Alpha Sigma Alpha, Alpha Kappa Delta. No, Alpha. I don't know. There's I think Tri Sig is one of them. I know ASA is one of them, and there's definitely 2 more. But I can't remember the other 2. But yeah, they like my school where I went to school was in like middle of nowhere, Virginia. And when I say middle of nowhere, Virginia, it's only like an hour from Richmond and like an hour from Lynchburg and like an hour and a half from Charlottesville. But at the same time, ain't nobody going to Farmville, Virginia to visit their sorority's like home, like base, honestly.
That's sort of like, because I mean, I always said I'm from the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, yeah, but it was only like 2 hours to Pittsburgh. So it wasn't really like middle of nowhere.
I know that feels so weird. Like like now that I've seen these places that I've seen, I'm like, yeah, nobody's really going to go to Farmville, Virginia, but also it wasn't that middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, like you're probably aware too that it was like, I'm like, the town that I'm from is like, it's so small that like people in the area hadn't even heard of it, but like it's close enough to a big town that you can be like, oh, it's near this, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, but like.
Well, since we're sharing sororities, like I was in Alpha Chi Omega, and that headquarters in Indianapolis, which I went to when I was in college because I was chapter president, and so we had like a retreat there or whatever. So
yeah, but Indianapolis, that's a city.
It is a city. Yes, it is.
I mean, Ypsilanti is a decent sized area too, I believe. But I don't know. I've been to Michigan, but I don't know that much about certain areas of it. I honestly don't know where Michigan Ypsilanti is. But like I said, ain't nobody going to Farmville. I'm really curious though now, like which sororities, I gotta look this up, were founded.
My AO Pi was actually founded at Barnard here in New York, so that's pretty cool.
Okay, so we're my school, Longwood University, is actually, it used to be Longwood College, is actually called the mother of sororities because I think that's 4 is like the most sororities that's ever been founded at a single college, or at least it had been for like a long time. But it's Kappa Delta, Tri Sig, ZTA, Zeta Tau Alpha, and Alpha Sigma Alpha. So
wait, Zeta Tau Alpha?
Yeah, Zeta Tau Alpha.
Zeta Tau Alpha was the sorority we rented our house from.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna say much. I will say that I almost I almost pledged one of them, but they had really bad hazing. So I was like, no, I'm good there. I'm good.
Yeah, I was.
Or I'll make give the same expression again at the same time, which is
yeah.
Yes.
Ain't nobody circling fat on parts of my body.
No, they didn't even probably from talk about, but I mean, I don't think they do this anymore. But it was like I don't drink, and there would be times where it was like when we were, when I was pledging, which they don't call it pledging anymore, at least in my sorority. Where
I don't think they do in mine either anymore.
Yeah, negative connotations, I assume. But it was they didn't actually even call it pledging when I was pledging, but that's what I call it because that's what it is. But it was like there would be times where it was like they'd ask you a question, if you don't know the answer you had to do a shot, and they knew I didn't drink, so they gave me like pineapple juice or something like that. So I was like I appreciate that. Like it doesn't like you think about it, it's like that doesn't sound like, well, like hopefully they wouldn't like force you to drink, but it's like no, there are some chapters that would force you to do that kind of stuff. And I was like, I really appreciated that they did not make me drink.
Yeah, my sorority, or at least my chapter of it was like part of the reason I chose them. First part being I had like several friends that were already in it. So I was like, I'm already friends with like 4 of these people. Like so but yeah, like it was honestly like my pledge class, like, and then even the pledge classes after us, like we would egg the sisters on to haze us, but like it was usually like little thing like drinking and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like I already was drinking, so it's like whatever, like
it's
we're not
weird,
nobody was making us do anything we weren't already
but it's also weird like seeing the list of stuff that is like considered hazing, because like scavenger hunts are considered hazing, and I'm like, we did a scavenger hunt and it was fun. I wouldn't have considered that. But I guess all it takes is like a couple of people like being uncomfortable doing something and like making a big deal about it. Because I could see how you can make scavenger hunts like hazing, but ours was basically like, we had for a couple like pledge sisters, like actually I think we had 2 teams because there were only 9 of us, and we each had like a couple of the like actives. And we had to go to like fraternity houses and ask for stuff like, oh, I need a pencil, like stuff like that. And it was like it was basically just like, where did our actives have friends in the fraternity? Like that's where we went basically. And they'd be like, here's a list of stuff we need, and then they give us whatever they had on the list.
Yeah, I think there was one thing that was like a tradition in my sorority that I refused to do, and it was like they would like there was one night where it was some particular night too, but the pledges, not founders night though, because I pledge in the spring and our founders night is in November, but like where the pledges were supposed to always, every semester the pledges had to spend one night in our chapter room, because we didn't have houses. I don't think we were allowed to have houses at my school, but there was a whole sorority dorm. So each sorority had like a portion of a floor, like it was split into 2 or 3 sections. I can't remember which, but like,
too, yeah.
but in each section had its own chapter room. So like there was like your sorority, like your pledge class is supposed to spend a night together in the chapter room. And I was like, not doing it, not sleeping on the floor. You can't make me, can't haze me. I'm sorry. Like, no, even 19-year-old or 20-year-old Tara, however old I was at the time, no, I'm not sleeping on the floor. I'll drink, like make me drink, get me drunk and send me back to my own dorm room, but I am not sleeping on your floor.
Oh man, we used to
That's fair.
all kinds of stuff because we do like road trips and we go to somebody's like parents' house, and there's no like it was just a big slumber party. So that's
I think the last time I like slept on the floor by choice, it was like my freshman year in college at some party that I went to, and I was just like, no, not doing it. No.
After college, I'm like no, and especially now, I'm like no. I get a bed.
Oh yeah, my friends who go to conventions and have like 20 people. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but have like 5, 6, 8 people in a hotel room, and like a bunch of them are sleeping on the floor. Like, first of all, I'm not sleeping on the floor. I'm not worrying about coming back to my room and having to kick somebody out of my portion of the bed. I don't want to step over 6 people trying to get to the bathroom. And also, how are you all getting ready? Like,
yeah.
like especially if there's like more than one girl in the room. Like, how are you all getting ready in that bathroom? Like cosplayers, particularly. Like, I'm just thinking about the way that our Dragon Con hotel room has looked with 2 guys and 2 girls in it for as many years as I like the past like four years or so, and it's like no.
Well, I'll say we usually have 5 people in our San Diego room. So and there's like one guy that always volunteers to sleep on the floor because it's like me and Angel, and then we're there with like a couple. So the couple gets to bed, me and Angel get to bed, and then the extra like the other guy sleeps on the floor. And so like, and so there's 3 girls in the room, and it was like we all have like such different schedules. Like for other conventions, I think it would be different. Like New York Comic Con, there's not like late night stuff going on or anything like that. You don't really need to camp out for panels because they do the lottery for some of the seats. But because it's like I was like I'm not a night person that much, so I was like I'm not out late. I was like I don't really like to get up early, but like, and also it's not like I have like no maintenance. So I was like I've like washed my hair, blow dry it, put it in a ponytail, and I'm good to go. But like yeah, I think it depends on that. But if there were more of us, yeah, I think that would be even 5 is kind of pushing it just because he takes up so much floor space, and it's like then there's nowhere to put like your suitcases and all that kind of stuff. So it is stretching it a little bit, but it's I don't have money and it's cheaper that way.
The one time I did, no, I think my first year at San Diego, there were 5 of us in the room actually. The only bad part about, because we were all on different schedules. Like there wasn't a bunch of cosplaying going on, you know, so that wasn't too bad, except for one of the people snored really, really, really bad. And I was like, never again. And then my second year at Comic-Con, that was the year we did like the big, we did like a GoFundMe, and we did like a bunch of really fun, like stuff for our like the people who helped support us, and like we got a room at the Hilton Gas Lamp, and their rooms were actually pretty decent size.
And
there
were being like a lot of space by the beds.
Yeah, there were 4 of us in it for the whole time, and my boyfriend at the time came for like 2 or 3 nights, and so like there were 5 of us in it for a couple nights, but it wasn't space wise, it was fine. And again, like no cosplaying, we're all on basically like different schedules. Like San Diego is probably the only one I would say it would be okay, you know, almost easy to have, you know, that many people, especially if none of you are cosplaying.
Because like Angel and Shawnee, who's the other one, like they line camp. And so they usually are gone for like a portion of the night because they're in line. I don't do that, so I'm like, okay.
No, again, if I'm not sleeping on a floor inside like a locked like dorm chapter room, I'm not sleeping on the ground outside of a convention center.
I did it once, never again.
One time, and it wasn't even the whole night. It was like 3 hours, and I was I cannot do this.
Mine was mine was the overnight, because it was like from like 10 to 4 or something like that. And I was just like, I just want, it was. The one time I was like on I can't even remember what panels it was for, but I was on the San Diego, what's the big San Diego forum that I know we're all members of? FOC. Oh my gosh.
Friends of Comic-Con.
Friends of Comic-Con. Thank you. I couldn't, it was mutual for like people I was mutual friends with, and they were trying to set up like an overnight thing. And I was like, listen, I will do the super, like I will go at like 3 a.m. Okay. Like I will get up and go at like 3 a.m. I cannot, like, I need to be able to sleep. Like I'm on East Coast time. You know, it was like, I think it was Thursday night of Comic-Con, honestly. So it was like, it would have been my first or second night there. So I was like, I will be on East Coast time. I will get there. I will go to bed at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I will get up at 3 a.m. and take the line from 3 a.m. on. But no, they wanted me to do that. Like they wanted, you know what they wanted me to do? They wanted me to do like midnight to 6 a.m. And I was like, no.
I don't recommend that shift if you can avoid it. Because
I will get up super. I will stay super late or get up super early. I'm not doing some like, and the person, the people that I was like talking to at the time, like, so they were talking about taking like, you know, whatever the earliest time you could get there at till midnight. And then the next person wouldn't get there until like, I don't know. It was absolute nonsense. I was like, no. Like, I don't really need into these panels that bad. I do not care that much. Like, it would be cool, but I don't care enough to try to sleep on the ground for 6 hours. 6 hours off.
Yeah, because that I mean, that was my problem again, because I was like also coming from the East Coast. And I was supposed to get in because it was for Thursday, Ballroom 20. So coming, like, it was Wednesday night, which is I usually go in on Wednesday, and like I always take the same flight. It's supposed to get there at noon. But well, no, this was I had a different flight, but it was still like I was supposed to get there at noon, and my flight was delayed. Like, my connecting flight was delayed by like 3 hours, so I didn't get in until like 4 or something like that. Because my plan had been like, I'll go in, I'll nap, and then I'll you know, go. And I was like, that didn't happen. And I ended up falling asleep through the first couple of panels of Ballroom 20, and we were in the front row, so I'm sure it was obvious that I was falling asleep. Sorry to those people, but we were in the front row.
Let's refocus.
Yeah.
This has been fun, but probably not to anybody who's watching this.
I think so. Come on, we've talked about cross-country road trips and
it's fun. Let's move on to recommendations. And really, like, my recommendations are kind of all over the place. So first of all, as I've talked about the last several months, I've been really into K-pop and K-dramas, like the whole Korean culture stuff. And in December, I watched a K-drama called Crash Landing on You. And it's on Netflix. You can watch it. I highly recommend it. It's a little ridiculous. It's about a woman who's an heiress, because there's always an heiress. And she goes paragliding and there's a freak tornado storm, and she ends up in North Korea and gets rescued by some North Korean soldiers, and they fall in love with each other. So, but literally it broke my heart. Like, I had chest pains for like 2 days when it was over, because it hurt me.
Subbed or dubbed or
subbed? I mean, you can. It might be dubbed, but I don't watch dubs, so I'm sorry, I just don't.
I'm messing with you. I'm very iffy on dubs myself. Like, if I started watching Soul Eater as a dub, and the dub voices are freaking awful. Like, so I ended up restarting it and watching the whole thing subbed, because the voices were so bad.
Dubs too. Like, for some reason,
there can be good ones, but
there can be good ones. But I was like, I feel that it was like American voice actors don't usually get like the right like tone. I think
they always sound too angry or too. There's always they're always like too much, and it's like, I know that the voice actors, the original voice actors, are also very, especially I'm thinking anime, but I'm assuming it might be the same way in K-dramas. Like, they are animated as well, but like the actors, I mean, but I feel like the American voice actors can never capture the same tone and animation of voice that it's like I'm watching KMB, Kuroko no Basket on Netflix, and I watched it subbed the first time around, like the whole thing. And I'm just like, I mean, I don't hate it. Honestly, it's not that bad, but like some of the voices, like there's like 2 of them that I'm just like, I don't think Kagami was that angry. I don't think Aomine sounded that evil. I mean, super evil, like Aomine, come on. But anyway.
Well, if you love K-dramas that start out very ridiculous and then end up ripping your heart out, Crash Landing on You is perfect. So, yeah,
I have that on my list.
Where can you watch it?
On your list.
Because I'm one of my recommendations is also K-drama, and because I was just like, ooh, and you recommended that, so I put that on, like, that's on my Netflix.
Oh, did I talk about this already? Probably. I'm sorry.
Well, you mentioned it in the Discord. You put it in like the recommendation.
Okay.
Watch it. And so, yeah.
I couldn't remember I don't remember what I talk about in these webcasts from one month to the next. Who knows? Yes, so highly recommend. I am also, you can watch it on Netflix, Tara.
Okay.
I'm also currently watching Memories of the Alhambra, which is another K-drama on Netflix. And it also has the same male lead who is Hyunbin, and he is amazingly beautiful. So crush on him, and he's 38, age appropriate. So for all of us, because we're all the same age.
Yep.
Yeah, that one is about like this guy is like in charge of a tech conglomerate, and he discovers like this AR video game that like interacts with you in real life, and like you wear contact lenses, and I don't want to give too much away, but like it like comes into the real world. It's very intriguing. So, all right. And then one more thing. As I mentioned earlier, I just moved to the Orlando area. I'm very close to Disney World, which is very happy for me because I love Disney World. And I'm hopefully going to be going there more frequently. However, they're not doing annual passes right now. So,
Are they? Wait, Disney World isn't?
Yeah, they're not. No, they're not selling any.
They're not new ones. Yeah.
Oh, new ones. Okay.
You can renew if you already have it, but they're not selling new ones. Because my parents normally don't renew. They usually like wait until, because they get the cheap one where like you can't go on weekends and like you can't go in the summer and all that kind of stuff. So they usually wait to get their annual pass. They're like, we're renewing them.
That reminds me, I still had I don't know. I still had a Florida annual pass, and they stopped charging me for it last month. I looked at my things and I was like, why didn't they charge me for it? Because like it was available till February. Like I wasn't supposed to have to renew it until February. So I'm like, where did my monthly charge go?
I think they were doing that on kind of a case by case basis. I won't get into it too much here, but like they were doing some stuff weird behind the scenes. But anyway, they are still doing annual passes at Universal Studios, however. So once I get my tax refund.
Oh God, yeah, no. Oh, am I allowed to enjoy the Wizarding World now?
I know,
because
that's the thing.
There's so much stuff from Wizarding World that I would want to buy. But I wonder. I was like, does she get any of that, or does that go to like?
You should just ride the rides, and that's fine.
Well, and food, you can probably buy like
food, yeah.
Butterbeer, that's good. So anyway, hopefully I will be posting more stuff about the theme parks and everything, because I think people generally like that, even though it's COVID and I might risk my life, whatever.
When I went to Wizarding World in 2015, I wrote an article comparing like Diagon Alley, which is in regular Universal, and then Hogsmeade, which is in Islands of Adventure, and that article is like constantly in like our top 10 for the website, and that was from like 5.5 years ago, and I'm like, okay, so people love that stuff. So yeah.
All right. Who's next? Obviously it's Jamie, because Sarah is indisposed at this moment.
Okay, so I have a few recs. I only have 2 written. So my first one, since Erin recommended a whole bunch of K-dramas, is also a K-drama. I'm actually like, it ends next week. The last 2 episodes are next week. So I'm working on a recommendation post that I'm going to post on the Geekiary. But I was very excited when I found out about this, because it's based on a webtoon that I read. And so I was like, oh my God, live action version, yes. But it's called True Beauty. That is a bad.
Oh, yes, that's on my list.
That is a bad English translation, because but anyway, so it's about like a teenage girl, and she's ugly. she's essentially like Hollywood ugly, which means they gave her like acne and glasses. And she gets bullied very heavily at school because of it. And like in the first episode, she has a crush on this guy, and she confesses to him, and he is sort of convinced by the mean girls to like humiliate her basically, and they video it and all that kind of stuff. And so she like, you know, she's very upset, and like I don't want to get too into it. But suicide is kind of a running theme through the thing. Like it gets to some dark places because the two male leads they had a third friend that prior to the show had killed himself because of bullying. So that's something that comes up a lot. But anyway, so it's like, so she goes home, and then like through her dad is like a moron, and he like lost all of their money in some scam, and so they have to move, and she's gonna have to change schools, and so she's very excited about that because she is gonna get away from all these mean people. So before she goes to the new school, she gets very good at makeup, and so her first day at her new school, she goes and she's got her face made up, and now she's pretty. And so like now like everybody loves her, and like she has all these friends and all this kind of stuff. And so it's basically like about that. And then of course, obviously, you know, love triangle. But there's like one guy who like knows her like regular because she's a big like comic book nerd, and like they meet at the comic book store when she doesn't have like her makeup on or anything like that. But then he's at her school, and so she's like afraid he's gonna recognize her and like all that kind of stuff. And it gets super ridiculous, but it's adorable, and like
the K-drama.
Yes, and I actually, because I read the webtoon, but I sort of got annoyed with the webtoon because it's like I was expecting it to be a certain way, and it's not that way. I was sort of expecting that it would be like a thing about like, oh, like appearances don't matter, you know, like blah blah blah, and she'd learn to love like herself. And the webtoon's not moving that way, but the drama has that, so I actually like it. But again, there's only 2 episodes left, so they can still mess it up. Who knows? But right now, I'm really enjoying that. I'm watching it on Viki, Viki, because it's a Viki original. So that's my one, and my other and then I have a C drama, Chinese drama. You all should know by now that I'm a big fan of The Untamed. And one of the leads from The Untamed, Wang Yibo, is in a show called Legend of Fae. And so that's another like wuxia, like genre where it's like historical, and they have like spiritual energy, and like, you know, they can fly and do like martial arts and all that kind of stuff. And it's about Fae, who is the daughter of like a clan chieftain basically, and she is like on a mission to like she has to protect the daughter of like another chieftain, because like their family, they're guarding something like an important artifact, and the parents are abducted, and so she and her little brother like are being led to safety, and the daughter has to go after her. And it's basically just like 40 something episodes of like meeting random like martial arts experts, and they teach her their special skill, and then they die, and it's like like Wang Yibo has like his character is sort of like kind of like a con man. It's like he sneaks into her home and all this kind of stuff, and but he has a secret identity. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but I'm really enjoying it. So, and I'm almost done with it. I think I have like 8 episodes before I'm finished. And then my last one is anime, and it's Attack on Titan. I review that weekly. I've probably mentioned it before. Season 4 is the last season. It is insane right now.
Yes,
like,
it is. I caught up. It
crazy.
is.
Yes, it's like, oh my god. And actually, like I for the last episode, I reviewed it, and I was like, I've never been very good with gore, so I don't know how I like Attack on Titan so much. But I was like, I think because it's animated, it's not like as bad. But this past episode, I had to watch parts of it through my fingers. Like it was there. I was just like, oh my god, it's getting crazy. So if you haven't seen it, you need to start. It's all of the seasons are on Crunchyroll, but the first season at least is on Netflix, and Hulu I think has parts of it too. So those are mine.
Mine actually, since Angel isn't with us and she was gonna recommend WandaVision, that honestly that would have been my first one. I'm still shocked at the number of people who gave up on it or were like, I don't understand what's going on, like just after the first 2 episodes. And it was very clear, particularly after the second episode, and they aired the first 2 together, that there was some deep stuff going on and that it was going to come out sooner rather than later. And I know some people are complaining about the pacing and everything, but like, I mean, I like it. Like I've liked it since the first episode. I thought it was weird and I didn't really quite get the first episode. The second one was like a little bit like, okay, well, there's clearly something going on here. I'm obviously going to keep watching. It's still weird, but whatever. But like, they finally like really like opened it up this week, for sure. So like, if you haven't watched it yet, or if you gave up on it, like after the first 2 episodes, like please just watch it or restart it. Like go back to the beginning and watch the 4 episodes that have aired. Cause it's really good. It's a little like, honestly, like I feel like it's a little bit predictable, or at least it was for me. I don't want to spoil anything, cause I feel like I kind of figured like by the second episode that like the kind of main point of what was going on. But yeah, it's good. And I, as someone who is really exhausted with Marvel movie content, this is a really nice change. It really is. Like, I by the time Infinity War came out, I was like, okay. And then by the time Endgame came out, I was like, okay. And then like, I've seen the movies that have come out since then, and it's just like, okay, like it's just getting worse with every movie, but this is something different and I really like it. Also I mentioned Kuroko no Basket earlier. If you've never watched it, now first of all, you can watch it all on, I believe, Crunchyroll. Yeah, it's been
movies, or at least they have some of the movies.
It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched it on, something. It's been a long time since I first watched it. Like I watched everything that was released like back then in like 2015 and maybe through early 2016. And then like there was the movie that came out after that and everything. So I've seen it all, but yeah, so it's all on Crunchyroll. Is it all just subbed or is it dubbed on Crunchyroll?
It's only subbed. Because the dub is new. Yeah. That's
what I thought. So like right now on Netflix, it's only season 1. But yeah, I definitely suggest watching it. It's as dubs go, I'm pretty pleased with it. Like there's some things like about the voice acting, but like it's nowhere near as bad as like Soul Eater. So yeah, those 2. Bridgerton is dirty and lovely. And the costumes are beautiful. Honestly, like if you're a costume person, I would watch that. Those are really. And I actually finally, I totally forgot about She-Ra for a while, so I'm finally watching the last like season and a half because I watched the 6 episodes that came out like I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago or something, that came out like as just a set of 6 episodes, and I remember being mad about it. Like, why are we only getting 6 episodes? I hate when shows do that. I'll wait. I'd rather wait for it and give me a full season at a time. But
Voltron did that. Yeah, it was just like.
Yeah. So I finally am finishing She-Ra. I'm not quite done with the final season. I do know a couple things about what happens at the end, like spoilers or whatever. But like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm still really, really enjoying it. So like, She-Ra is great. Yeah, those are my recs because that's what I've been doing lately. Oh, and rewatching Schitt's Creek still. I think I was doing that back in December too when we had the webcast. Maybe I don't know, but like it's just a happy place for me. Like I was actually in a really bad I was having a really bad night the other night, and I had paused my Schitt's Creek rewatch. Sorry, that's so many bleh. like Schitt's Creek rewatch. I'd paused it to pick back up with Shira and like we, and also watch Croco and stuff. But like I picked it back up the other night because I was having like a really bad night, and it was like just like watching 3 episodes, and I was like, I love it so much. It makes me so happy. It's so good. So
it's an instant mood boost. It really is.
Yeah.
I need to add one more to my recommendations. I'm sorry, really quick here.
How dare.
I know, I'm sorry. I forgot. I've just had too much in my brain lately. It's another K-drama, but it's a horror K-drama. You can watch it on Netflix. It's called Sweet Home. It's based on a webtoon or like a webcomic. And it's very weirdly good. It's weird as hell, but it's good. And it's kind of like about these, it takes place in like an apartment building. And these like monsters invade the area, Korea, Seoul, whatever. And these residents of this apartment building have to like survive, and they have no idea what's going on. And the monsters are weird. And your whole point is like the monster, once you're infected, like it will overtake you, or you can fight it. And if you fight it, you become like this superhuman, immortal person who never dies. And it's very good. And Namjoon from BTS recommended it on his V Live a couple weeks ago, but I had already watched it. And so it's like, hey. So yeah, if you like scary stuff and like horror and monsters and gory junk, you should watch that because it's not a typical K-drama, but it's good. So that's all I'm gonna say. All right. Thank you. We're gonna skip the other categories because there's nothing. Do we have any final thoughts this evening?
I don't. This is fun. I know this was totally random conversation, but honestly, like, it was really lovely to talk about like cross country trips and everything. Like, I know it's totally different for us, but really, like that was. I think that was cool. Like,
it was definitely fun. Yeah,
a random travel version of feelings with the Geekiary.
American travel at that.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. Sea shanty TikTok was like a thing. It's like a thing that I'm obsessed with. It's funny because I downloaded TikTok like before it was gonna be banned because I was like, you can't tell me what app I can have on my phone.
You can't tell me what to do, government.
But also because like one of my friends is super into TikTok. Like TikTok could basically be her second job. And she sends me.
That's how I ended up with it.
Yeah, she sends me TikToks randomly. Like she'll text me throughout the day, like 4 or 5 TikTok links. And so it was just easier to get the app, like because then. So now I can send her TikToks back, and she loves that. But yeah, I discovered. Actually, I think I saw it on Tumblr first, and not even on TikTok. Because until that, I was like never on TikTok. Like only when like she sent me TikToks, I'm like okay. But then the Weller Man went viral, and I saw it on like a post on Tumblr, and I found it, and then it was like all the many versions of it. And so like probably 50% of my likes on TikTok are different variations of the Weller Man. And then it was funny because like probably given too much away, but the one of the people that had sung the original video was on the morning show for the network that I work for. And so like I was screening it, and I was like, so I got to watch that segment. So that was interesting. And like now it's like now they have like a record deal and all that kind of stuff, and it's just like it's insane. And I have a friend that gets mad because he's like, Weller Man isn't the only sea shanty, and I'm like, and it's not. Sea shanty on TikTok, like they have, that's the one that got the biggest. Like that's the like that one went viral, and I think part of it was like because people saw it and then they kept adding to it. But there are different ones on there. The problem is TikTok has a problem with tagging. They'll tag a post as like 15 different tags, and like none of them are what the post is actually about. So it's been hard to track down sea shanties because of that. But yeah, and I'm obsessed with sea shanty TikTok. Is never a sentence I thought I would say ever in my life, but here we are now in 2021.
Yeah.
This is our lives now. This is our lives now. COVID and TikTok. And anime and K-drama.
K-drama.
So cool.
This is what COVID has done to us.
Yeah, well, oh no, because I resisted for a long time getting a subscription to Viki. Because Viki has like you can watch some stuff on there for free. Like they have the Untamed on there, and some other stuff. But like True Beauty was one of those where it was like they had a couple episodes free, but to see the rest of them, you had to pay for the subscription. And so I'm like, fine. I bought the annual one, so it's only like $50, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And now I was like, at the end of a year, if I don't want it anymore, I can just like not get it anymore. But I was like, they have a lot of stuff on there, because as somebody that, and Aaron probably knows this too, like when you like media from another country, like it's very hard to find it. And I'm sure people in other countries feel that way about American stuff too, but it's like, it's very hard to find it like legally. Netflix has some stuff. And actually I have, one of the big networks in China is Tencent, like WeTV, Tencent. So I actually have their app on my tablet, because like there's some stuff on there that like isn't anywhere else, and especially because YouTube doesn't do the community subtitles anymore, and so a lot of the videos that get added on YouTube don't have subtitles, which because that's how I was watching a bunch of stuff. But they have it on the app, and so I watch that. But then there's some stuff that's not on that, like Legend of Fae on there, like, but it's on Viki. And then Wong Yibo has another one. No, is it him? I mean, he has another one coming out. I don't know what it's gonna be on. But Zhao Jian, who's the other lead in the Untamed, he has a couple shows coming out that I'm excited about, and they are both apparently going to be on Viki, so I'm very excited about that. When I finish Legend of Fae, there's The Wolf is the Zhao Jian drama. He's not one of the leads, so I don't know if I'm that eager to pick that up. He doesn't show up until like episode 13, and apparently it's not a very good show. He's really good in it. So like that's on Viki, and like that's not really anywhere else. So
I feel like K-drama is going to be the next Geekiary category. So you should just prepare for that. And it's gonna happen. So
yeah, honestly, I feel like I should have just like started reviewing True Beauty. Just like gone with it. It's like, I mean, I started writing the review post when I watched, and I think when I started it, there was only 4 episodes or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I was writing, and then I realized that I was like, oh, like there's only 16 episodes, and they air 2 episodes a week, so like this is going to be done in like a month anyway. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait until it's over, and then I know whether or not I really want to recommend it, because if it ends terribly, I'm not going to want to recommend it. But they do have an unnecessary time skip in there, which in the webtoon, that happens in
K-drama a lot.
I have heard that from the because I'm on the K-drama subreddit now for the episode discussions, and that's apparent, like the time skip, and it's in the webtoon. In the webtoon, it makes sense. In the K-drama, it doesn't, because like they took the webtoon and they took like the premise, and then they sort of like went a new direction with it, and so like if you changed so much of it anyway, like why would you keep the stupid time skip? But we'll see how it works out.
Yes. All right. So get Viki, because there's lots of good shows on there.
And you can check first. Like I don't want to say like, because they do have a lot of stuff on there that is free. Like there are ads, but it's free. So like,
okay, that's good.
Don't feel obligated to pay for it yet. I did because because also I was like, after a couple where you watch the ads, it's like, oh my God, no, I can't do this with ads.
That's how I am with Hulu. All right. So like I said earlier, we have a couple of like special event webcasts or whatever coming up. We'll let you know about those later. I don't have them planned, just in my mind. So let's wrap this up, and we will, see you next time for whatever it is.
In February at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'm Erin, along here with Jamie and Tara. Thank you for joining us for Feelings with the Geekiary. This was a lot of fun. Remember, we're a free webcast run off of donations from viewers like you. So thanks for contributing and helping our host site, the Geekiary. And we will see you next time. Be sure to check our social for those times and dates and whatever. So cool. Bye.
Stay home.